Wave this at the camera, say the name and...
Yeah.
Nice.
Clap it.
Yeah.
Dave Brazier, sax.
Bang. No messing about.
Welcome to the Cherrywood podcast. It's Simon here.
It's Rachel here.
Please like, share and subscribe.
You've put sax on it. Your name isn't Saxo, is it?
Nah.
No, right. It's just what
Saxophone.
he does. Yeah. I didn't know if that was just a coincidence.
That's a massive...
Dave.
I'm very lucky I'm not a flute player, right?
See, this is the tone of the podcast already.
No, I just
It
didn't
looks like I'm making a new cup.
I just didn't know. It might have just been a coincidence.
That would be the best coincidence, wouldn't it? That would be the best coincidence. Like, what are the chances?
Yeah. Right.
You did a little picture as well, just see.
I did a little saxophone picture. I wanted you to know I knew what a saxophone looked like.
That's quite impressive.
I even started putting a few keys on it, but then gave up with it. I gave up with it because I don't actually know where the keys are.
To be fair, that's not bad. That's not bad. At least put sax rather than trumpet as well. Like if
I used to play baritone.
Oh, okay.
But I used to play a trumpet-style baritone. You know, like American drum corps baritone. Do you know what I mean?
Go on, do it. Yeah.
Oh, right.
There you go. Sorry, we can start.
baritone
properly
horn.
then.
Baritone horn, upright baritone.
Yeah.
Long time ago. Ago. And drum corps. You know what drum corps was? American-style drum corps.
I know of, but I wouldn't know much about it.
I used to be in
You're older than us,
DC UK, which is you used to have to mark out a football field, but like American football pitch because it's American.
Yeah.
And then you would play music and choreograph shapes as well at the same time.
Oh, like yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
But I used to play in the finals at Sheffield Wednesday Football Club and everything. I used to love it. I grew up doing that. I was never on the streets. I was just drum coring, playing baritone.
Nice. Living the dream.
Living the
Living the
dream.
dream.
So could you then play any instrument like that? Because you've got a... So I don't know why we're asking you questions.
Yeah, sorry. We will come to you.
I'm here. If you need me, give us a shout.
Give it an hour and we'll be with you.
Yeah, no worries. I'll get some emails.
I've always wanted to play trombone. Never touched a trombone, but the mouthpiece is exactly this. Well, very similar.
Yeah,
very similar. In fact, I used to use a trombone mouthpiece on my baritone.
Oh.
And I can play a bit of trumpet, but harder because the mouthpiece is a lot smaller. So harder for me because I'm just not used to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like just transferring the knack, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a very similar thing, but you've kind of... It's like I first started playing clarinet, for example, and I quite often
that's
get
the
asked,
usual
like,
progression.
how's that then from clarinet to sax? And I would say it's kind of like... It's a bit like learning to ride a motorbike when you can drive. It's like, it's not the same, but it's a really good start.
Yeah.
Seriously, you can't ride a motorbike. But, that's how I imagine the kind of thing works.
In my experience, that is the usual progression, isn't it? Clarinet first. It's the reed, isn't it?
It's very often, yeah. I think, especially back in like the old days when, if you're quite young, quite little, like you're not big enough for a sax yet. So they quite often used to say like, oh, if you want to learn saxophone, like play a clarinet first, like it's a good start. And it is. It's kind of similar. It's not the same by any stretch. It's actually probably a bit harder, to be fair, on balance, but it is kind of similar enough that then when you're a bit bigger, you then sort of like transfer across, I guess.
Today's sponsors are Dimodici Associates, Chartered Structural and Civil Engineers.
Based in the UK with a worldwide reach.
Visit their website on dimodiciassociates.com.
Right at Home Medway, providers of safe and trusted quality care for adults in the comfort of their own home. Whether you need companionship, medication assistance, personal care, living care or more, we've got you covered. Visit rightathome.co.uk/medway or call them on 01634 979 000.
Are you looking for a cleaning or facilities management? Clearwater Kent is your trusted local expert. From roofs and driveway cleaning to fully facilitated management, they're a fully licensed, award-winning business that you can count on. Visit clearwaterkent.co.uk or call 01634 681 885.
I think I need to tell you, Dave.
What's that?
We've got a couple of cards here, and it's called Mic 1, Mic 2, and Mic 3.
Nice.
If you hit the mic 3 times, you've then got to show us the last text you sent.
See, that sounds like it'd be super exciting, but it probably isn't for me. It's probably
You're not bothered at all, are you?
It's probably not. It's probably me like texting my wife going, I'll be home soon or something.
That's the weird thing, right? We had a chat with Dave. We've worked alongside Dave. I say we worked alongside Dave. When Dave turns up at a wedding to play sax along with the DJ, we're literally going home, aren't we?
We crossed like for about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
We crossed for 10 minutes and we've never chatted. And I think we've probably met you over 5 times.
Yeah, it's
I
got.
don't know if you've ever noticed us, but
Yeah,
you
I
know, we
recognise
notice
you,
you because you end up being the centre of attention for that bit.
Yeah.
But never chat because he's got a bleeding sax in his mouth.
You can't talk a mouthful, can you?
Yeah.
It's rude.
And also, we were saying in the kitchen, you know, in the green room before we came in here.
Green.
It is green, actually. That's a result. We were saying how young he looks, and he doesn't look that young when he's playing a sax. And
Well, that's just your opinion. I said I thought
he does look young. He does look early 20s.
It's a bit of an enigma. It's almost like it's a bit of a trade secret how old I actually am. It's a bit of an enigma. And I kind of like that. I like the kind of mystery. It sounds really kind of like self-indulgent, but I know of people in the wedding industry who have talked about it while I'm not there. Like, do you know how old Dave is? Kind of.
Really?
And it's very much, I think like I should have like a sweepstake.
You should.
Like the village fete, you know, how many
How old
pennies in
is
the
Dave?
jar.
Let's do that. So
I
look
reckon
at
they
the
should
camera,
do-
Dave, and we'll see if anyone comments
camera.
on how old Dave is. Also, I didn't think he'd sound like that either. Because he looks old when he's playing sax, I thought it'd sound a
Well,
bit
like deep and
deeper. But actually, that doesn't matter because he looks older than. No, he looks younger than he. Oh, what I'm trying
you give us a lot of
Dig
thought,
in
haven't
there.
you?
Yeah.
I've given it a lot of thought, Dave.
In the space of time that
I've
you
got a
come
secret
from our
file.
front door.
I've got a room with loads of pictures of you playing sax. I've got.
I probably do.
I've got Fred going from one to the other, from different weddings. He looks a bit younger here. He looks a bit younger
To be
here.
fair, I often do wonder how many wedding albums I'm actually in. It must be quite scary. I often joke photographers as well, like if they don't get like the perfect picture of me at that wedding, just use one of the other for another wedding. Check him wearing the same shirt just for continuity, you know. But
You should have like a logoed shirt and then it would be fine.
we probably could do just back catalogue of pictures of Dave. I'll just reuse in future
Yeah,
weddings.
just Dave, a file, just
We
a
used,
Dave.
we used to film Declan's show, didn't we? And the times we thought about, just use the stall from the last one. No one's going to know, you know.
Yeah, you probably could do.
But Tina Green, if you're listening, we didn't do that at all. We didn't ever
Not
do it.
officially,
But we
anyway.
just wanted to do it. Right, so Dave, let's get into it now. So you're obviously a sax player, and
indeed.
do you want to tell everyone roughly what it is you do? Not many people probably still know about this little fad. It's not a fad, is it? It's been going on a few years now, isn't it?
That's the weird thing. 'Cause, I mean, I started doing the whole sax at weddings thing a long time ago. Like, I'm one of the original guys that actually kind of grafted to kind of create the business for it. Like, I remember going to wedding fairs when I first started out doing this kind of thing and talking to couples like, you know, have you considered having a sax player for your wedding? And it's like, oh, no, I hadn't really thought of that. You know, it wasn't really a thing. I was one of kind of the original guys that started kind of pushing it and gradually built it up. And then obviously like the Ibiza sax thing landed and it became like super popular. And it was very much like a thing. It really kicked off that's a few years ago now. It must be 7, 8, 9 years ago, something like that. And I was convinced at the time like this is going to be an absolute explosion of excitement that's going to last about 6 months. People are getting sick of it, but it's still rolling, and I keep on expecting that bubble to burst. And obviously thinking about that from future planning point of view as well. Like obviously, look, us sax players are really busy now, and there's a lot of players that have jumped on the sax player bandwagon. You know, with the greatest respect, not the greatest players, but like it's become super popular. There's a huge amount of work going around. Everyone's sax player at the wedding, so there's obviously space for lots of us now. But I keep expecting that bubble to burst, and it's not. If anything, it just keeps on building and building and building. I think as well, like where it's such a versatile instrument, like obviously you guys perhaps have seen me more doing the kind of evening sort of party thing, but I play sax throughout the day. I can play like romantic ballads whilst the bride's walking down the aisle. I can do kind of chilled vibes whilst having the drinks on the deck and overlooking the lake or whatever the venue is, you know, kind of creating that kind of summery kind of vibe for that.
So do you just have a bit of backing with yourself for that?
So yeah, I mean, I use background music for all my performances. So I've got sort of like nice neat kind of battery powered speakers, so I can put them anywhere in the venue. I can move them around, whatever I need to do.
But at the party, you're bouncing off the DJ's music, aren't you?
So at the party, I'm playing along either because I'm a DJ myself as well.
Oh, right,
So I'm
okay.
either DJ myself and playing sax, or I'm working with, particularly if the venue has its own DJ. A lot of venues obviously have their own house DJ that you kind of have to use, or it's like part of the package or whatever. So I'm either sort of bouncing off the DJ's already there, or doing my own thing. But that to me is just like an extension extension. So if I'm playing like a drinks reception, for example, like background vibes whilst you're having your cocktails and canapes, that to me is not really a different setup to if I'm playing either by myself in the evening or with a DJ in the evening. It's the same thing but louder. Basically, essentially, and maybe sort of more upbeat music and stuff in the evening, but the format of sax over backing music is essentially exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
So one kind of just like naturally leads to the other, in my view.
Do you
get asked to play Baker Street on every wedding? Or latest trick.
Latest trick isn't as popular, to be fair. It's a great tune. I love playing it. It's a great tune.
Trick. You don't even know what latest trick is, do you?
Baker Street, that was...
Dire Straits
and Michael Brecker. The other one, of course, is the all that, Baker Street, and then you've got obviously Careless Whisper and all that, but like the big one these days is Jubel. That's the one which like everyone asks for.
It's what?
Jubel. Or Jubel, I don't know. People pronounce it differently. I don't know. Actually, should be pronounced.
I don't even know it. Go on.
You'd know it if you heard it.
Get without doubt. Dave.
No, thanks. I wouldn't get paid for that. Trust me. But I'll be out of work very quickly if I was a singer. But yeah, that's the one. That's the one that's on everyone's playlist. Again, not so much now, but like when the kind of Ibiza sax thing really hit. I remember I did one wedding, for example, where I played it 6 times.
Really?
And that was with the bride kept on asking for it again. And by the 4th time, I was like, you are aware I have played it for. It's like, yep. It's like, okay, cool. You're the bride. You want Jubel 6 times in 2 hours? That's cool. That's your shout.
Wow.
So
do you have a preference of what? Do you have a preference of which? Do you like doing the ceremony? Do you like doing the reception? Do you like doing the party scenes?
That's a really, really good question. And I like doing all of it in different ways, which sounds like a massive cop-out answer. but sometimes the cop-out answer is real. Like, there's nothing more special than playing as the bride walks down the aisle and the groom sees his bride in the dress for the first time, yada, yada, yada. Like, that's a moment. And to be the kind of the mood setter for that moment is really special. And definitely that's one I quite often get feedback from brides. They talk about how that was like a really, really special part of the day. I heard you start playing before I started walking and I sort of welled up a little bit. It's sort of set that kind of romantic kind of atmosphere. That's really special. It's also way more pressure. Like that's I don't really get nervous nowadays. That's kind of the wrong word to use, but that's definitely the only part of maybe a wedding day when you kind of go, when I hit this play button, it better work.
Yeah.
And it always does.
That's good. Yeah.
But it always didn't touch it.
No, I don't think you did.
But it always, besides that, my texts are boring anyway. But yeah, it always works, and it always has done. It always will do. But there's still that moment of like, the celebrant says, "Please be upstanding." For instance, like it can't now go wrong.
It's that second of anticipation. Like,
this is
it working?
The playing side sounds like arrogant. The playing side, I know I can do. That's not an issue. Like, there's no chance of me playing it wrong.
And how many gigs you do in a week? You're playing inside out all the time, aren't you?
Yeah, this time of year especially, it's busy. I mean, I did this week's not mental. I think I got 5 this week. Was it 4? It's 4 in a wedding fair, to be fair. I was a couple of weeks ago, I had a 10-day run where I had 12 bookings in 10 days.
Oh, my God.
The thing is where I do like a daytime thing and then like an evening thing somewhere else.
Yeah.
But then 3 of those were all days in one place as well.
So going back to trumpet and baritone.
Yeah. Sorry, back to you for a second.
I don't think
Going back to
maybe
you.
I would. Maybe I would be able to play that long. But does it affect you as much with your mouth with the reed than it does? Like,
no.
Because with me, you're pushing against the mouthpiece.
It's like anything else. It's basically fitness.
Yeah.
The more, not general, I'm really unfit, but it's the kind of the actual specific saxophone fitness, the mouth position, the diaphragm, all that. Things, if you do enough of it, I do play regularly, like basically all day. If anything, the evening stuff where I'm walking and moving about much more like on the dance floor stuff, like that's a bit more draining. Like after a long night of that, you do feel like you've done a bit of a shift. But the actual physical side of playing like doesn't really affect me. If anything, actually, to be honest, after I've been playing for probably maybe an hour and a half, something like that, that's when you kind of hit that sweet spot in your playing where it just feels like it's just flowing like really, really easily. Just kind of really relax, and you get to that sort of almost slightly zen moment in a way where like just what you kind of think in your head just kind of comes out without having to think about what the notes are and how
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
produce it and stuff. It's almost like
I'm not musical at all.
I know.
Is there a point where you don't even think about what you're doing and it just comes automatically?
Yeah,
if you think of a song,
that's the stage.
Until
It's-
I'm a bass player as well.
Okay, cool.
Right, just to talk about me, shall we? No,
if I'm up for that, I'm happy
should we
with that,
change the
actually.
name, Simon Burridge, and put
no,
bass
no,
there?
no. But the thing is,
happy with that.
I'm going to ask you a question for other people, but I sort of know the answer myself. So you come across a song you've never heard before.
Yep.
Once you've got a chorus and a verse,
Yeah.
you should be all right the second time round, shouldn't you?
More or less. The thing with like requests is if it's a song where, like, especially it's in like the evening part of the wedding where the DJ or myself were playing like the usual version of the song with the vocal stuff on the song, like. My role within that isn't necessarily to play the tune anyway. Like I can do, but it's more kind of like riffing around it and kind of adding something.
Yeah.
So whether you actually like know the song really, really well or not, in a way, is kind of a bit irrelevant. It's a good idea if you actually have a rough idea. But I did a wedding, for example, must have been a couple of years ago now. I remember it really vividly. It was a really fun wedding where the groom was British, the bride was Russian. And a lot of what they'd asked for the evening reception was Russian music. But I'm not talking like traditional kind of folk songs. I mean like Russian pop music, essentially. And I remember the DJ I was working at the time wasn't particularly chuffed with it because he had to download a whole bunch of extra music. So it was a bit more admin for him. But I remember the party really well because I really, really, really enjoyed playing the Russian pop music.
Yeah.
And I'd obviously, knowing it was coming up, had a couple of listens to a couple of playlists on Spotify and stuff. But I didn't know what specifically they were going to play. I didn't learn any songs. It was more just getting a vibe for it. And I was just playing this Russian music, and I had loads of like her friends, like bridesmaids, obviously also Russian, coming up to me without even going, "How do you know this Russian music?" I'm like, "I don't.
Yeah.
I don't." But pop music's kind of pop music.
Just riff
It's
through it.
got it's got forms that you recognise. It's got structures you recognise.
Verse, chorus, verse,
It's
bridge.
kind of like learning a language. Like the more languages you learn, the easier the next language is to learn. So it's kind of like that, I guess. So from that point of view, like that's then really easy. If it's a song that I've got to play for like a daytime where maybe I'm working with backing music that hasn't got the words and I'm sort of playing the tune, if you like, that's one where I always say, if it's a song that I know, like a really mainstream song, but I simply haven't played it before, I can pretty much play it first time. Like I would obviously prep it. I wouldn't turn up at the wedding and play it for the first time then, but I'd have a listen to it and have a play through it. But I can pretty much play it first time. If it's a song that I don't know, like something really obscure that I haven't heard before, then that's where I just stick it on loop in the car for a few days and just get it in my head so I can kind of hum it. Because once I can hum it, again, I can basically play it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the classic one is when someone comes up and asks for a request for a song, goes, like in a band, where you can play such and such. I don't know it. Oh, go on, give it a try.
Okay.
I can make it up on the spot, but I don't know it. So
Yeah.
giving it a try won't be hugely successful.
Have you turned up to a wedding and they've got a live band and they've asked you to jump in?
Not ever like off the cuff,
Right.
But I've done a couple where they've said, "Oh, you know, the band wanting to play in the evening, whatever." And it's like, okay, cool. Like I grew up playing in bands. Like my first sort of wedding job, if you like, was in a function band.
Yeah.
You know, I cut my teeth playing all the kind of the Aretha Franklin, Blues Brothers, Stevie Wonder, all the sort of classic wedding function stuff in a function band. So
Playing the sax.
playing sax, yeah. And I love playing bands. Like you can't beat playing a live band.
No,
it's so much fun. But there's less than around nowadays.
Oh, it is, yeah.
And
Since COVID, it ruined us a bit, to be honest. I've had, how many gigs have I had since COVID? Not many.
Probably about 8.
Yeah, 8 or 9.
Yeah.
But a lot of my band moved away and then come back, so we started gigging
Doesn't
again.
help,
But
yeah.
it doesn't help, no. But yeah, it has gone down. And it's because of the decline of pubs.
doesn't help.
I don't know if
Doesn't help.
you ever went to Maidstone and went out in Maidstone much.
Not really, no.
Maidstone was heaving. When we started going out, wasn't it? Maidstone was heaving.
Maidstone used to be the place to go. If you were going out on a Friday or Saturday night, it used to be the place to go. It used to be bars, restaurants, clubs, everything.
Like anywhere you want, it was there. Now, like it's just a few pubs. There are still clubs about, but it's just dead now, isn't it? Weekend kids don't
just
do it
getting
anymore.
harder. It's just getting harder and harder and
Yeah,
harder.
so gigs have been reduced a great deal.
Yeah, and I think as well, partly comes down to money as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, for a band, you have to charge more because otherwise it's not worth it. I used to run a band as well, and I've run a couple of bands in my time, and the admin in running a band is ridiculous because it's not just am I available, it's are all the other guys available, and then everyone's
bigger the bands, apart
from the bass player. So then you've got like 3 or 4 other bass players you should step in, so you've got to hit them up. Are they available? And that's all before you can go back to the bride and go, here's your quotes. At that point, they then may or may not take you up on it. So there's a good chance that all that work might be for nothing. As my kind of solo work got more and more popular, I was getting more and more booked out for that. It got to the point where I was essentially running the band. I was doing all the legwork, all the kind of the admin, all the rest of it, and then depping myself out to another sax player. It's like, at what point do I kind of go, I'm basically a glorified admin assistant at this point? And that was when it reached a stage, I was like, I kind of need to wind this up because it's just getting silly. But no, you can't be live, like working in a live band. It's a lot of fun. Just the bands you have, like where you're getting set and all the rest of it as well. That kind of, it's just a bit of fun.
Yeah, and there's something about music, right? I'm still close to every person I've played baritone with, bass with. There's something about music, and you could have massive rows of them, but then you can not see them for 30 years, and you sort of look at each other, and you did something together. It's really weird.
Yeah, there's definitely a kind of connection there.
Yeah.
I mean, loads of my best mates are musicians.
Yeah.
That's why probably the latest text my phone's probably really boring.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, when I got married, I had like 3 bands, so many of my mates are musicians. It was just like a massive little festival.
Did you play at your own?
A little bit.
You did
To be fair, only for about an hour.
I did an hour.
My bride didn't let me do more than that. And to be fair, I don't blame her.
I did look over and you were dancing by yourself a few times. But
this is it.
Especially the first dance. You weren't happy about that.
The first dance by yourself. I've done that a few times, sort of joking with a bride. When you get to do the first dance, no one can find the groom. Why is it always the groom that's gone AWOL? The bride never goes AWOL. To be fair, she stands out more in the big white dress, but still. And it's like, do you want me to step in? I mean, the first dance, does it have to be a couple?
You're like, where's the groom?
It's always groom hunting.
It is always.
What are best men there for if it's not to find the groom?
It's normally our job to go and find him, is it? We're like,
right,
okay, where is it?
It depends what venue it is as well. We got married at Penzer's place. It's got 12 gardens. You can lose so many drunk people there.
Scramble the chopper.
Yeah.
So where did it all start for you then? Did you do this at school and you just sort of thought, okay, this is going to take off as a career, or how did it all start?
So I started out playing clarinet, like I said. So I've been playing clarinet since I was 7 years old. And I just really enjoyed it. I can't remember exactly when I was like, I want to be a musician, that's what I want to do. But I don't really remember a time when I didn't want to, if that makes sense. So even when I was at school, for example, I had a Saturday job working in a local music shop, for example. It was very much always my thing. I wanted to be a musician. So I had kind of formal clarinet lessons at school, but I also learned guitar, bass, drums, keyboard, all sorts of other bits and pieces that I kind of taught myself along the way, jamming with mates in the bedroom and all that sort of stuff, playing little bands when I was growing up and all that. So I don't really remember a time when I didn't want to be a musician. But at the same time, I was never kind of one of those 100% super driven, this is all I want to do, yada yada. But it was always, I sort of knew without thinking about it almost, so this is what I wanted to do. And then went to the music degree, and when I started my degree course, I was still playing clarinet predominantly, but I always preferred playing the kind of jazzier, more contemporary side of things. And there is a market for that on clarinet, but not massively.
You went to Canterbury University, did you?
I went to Christchurch, And when I was there, I eventually, partly from advice from a few people and just from sort of knowing the market, I decided that if I was going to actually come out of university and actually have a career as a musician, just being solely predominantly a clarinetist wasn't going to cut it, because whilst I enjoyed playing the sort of jazzier end of things, like I said, there is a market for a jazz clarinetist, but it's not exactly huge. You come out of university as a jazz clarinetist, you're going to work in Asda. There's just not enough work to sustain a full-time income. So that's when I was like, right, this whole sax thing. Like I've always kind of thought about it and sort of dabbled in it a little bit, but I'm actually gonna. So a friend of mine at the university at the time was actually selling his tenor sax. He was buying himself a new one. It was like 800 quid, I think it was. And so I bought that off him. I was like, right, I'm gonna give it a go. And this was the summer of the end of my second year of the 3-year course. So pretty much I spent that third year just more or less from scratch, just head down learning saxophone. Absolutely fell in love with it. I ended up kind of switching my official kind of first study from clarinet to sax in that third year. And I did my end of degree final recital performance on sax, having owned a sax for, I think it was about 11 months at that point, or something ridiculous, which is completely bonkers. So you just start raving mad to do that. You know, I was playing in a class with, you know, musicians doing playing instrument for like, 15 years at that point, and I've been playing for less than a year. But things where it is quite similar. And in terms of the understanding how music works, understanding like the theory and how to kind of improvise and how to like all that sort of stuff is kind of the same.
Is the key positioning the same?
No.
Right.
It's similar in a way, but you do kind of have to relearn that. But the main thing is just how to get a good sound out of it, because it's obviously an awful lot bigger.
It's taking a bit more wind, kind of a bit more huff, is it? Or?
Basically, yeah, in simple terms. But there's a sort of a bit more. It's quite hard to describe without going sort of into like super detailed. But you've just got to be much more. In simple terms, basically more puff. If I go deeper than that, we'd be here for several hours. But then also the mouth position's a bit different. Clarinet, the mouth position's much firmer, much tighter. Also, where you tend to hold a clarinet like that. Like that. It's sort of the mouthpiece kind of goes more up into your mouth, whereas the saxophone is more
bends
kind of
in
that angle, which obviously changes all the tongue
position.
position.
Clarinets with that bend on.
No, you can get bass clarinets, which are
big. They look like a big sax anyway.
They do kind of look like a big wooden sax, to be fair, and they have the kind of the more sort of gooseneck shape. But
sorry, I'm going to jump in again. I'm a massive Level 42 fan.
Okay, cool.
And they have a horn line.
Yeah.
And their sax player used an electric one before.
Yeah, electric sax. I think I've got one. There's two sort of types of electric sax, really two sort of schools of thought. One is almost like a keyboard to a piano player. It's that kind of having electric sax kind of gives you access to different sounds. You can make it sound like a flute or panpipes or whatever you want to, electric guitar.
It may have even been electric clarinet now, thinking about it. Is there such a thing?
They kind of are the
literally
same.
The
the classic one that they'd have used, I haven't seen myself, but the main thing they'd use would be what we refer to as a wind synth. So it's kind of modelled around the sax, just because the sax is the most mainstream kind of wind instrument, but it's not specifically a sax. So it's not really an electric sax or an electric clarinet or an electric such and such. It's just a generic electric wind instrument. But then the other side of it's they're more kind of a performance. That's something I've never really dabbled in. But then what I've got is like a practice tool, really. So it's more designed for kind of practice at home, where you can use headphones. And it's not the same by any stretch. But if you're in a situation where I have been in the past, particularly where you kind of can't make a lot of noise.
Do you live in a detached house?
I'm in a terrace.
Oh, right, okay.
But nowadays, I've kind of got a little soundproof studio off the side.
Yeah.
I say soundproof. It's not like,
I used to do
kind of soundproofing, but it's
our old
garage
house. Yeah, half the garage was just like basses all in there.
Stuff on it, didn't it?
Yeah, it was just full of that all everywhere.
Yeah.
It was just so dead. You click your fingers, it was just so dead.
I've got carpet tiles over the walls and stuff like that. Yeah. Again, just sort of soaks it up.
Yeah.
So I can practice in there. To be honest, pretty much any time of day or night. If it's very late, I tend to practice kind of quite quietly, but it's not going to offend anybody. But back in the years gone by, having an electric sax is actually super helpful, just because you can practice stuff. Like I've been known to get in from the gig at 1 o'clock in the morning and sort of brushing up for tomorrow's gig. When it's really, really, really busy and it's like wedding.
Yeah.
Like I never leave the
specific
prep.
song requests.
I never leave the prep to the last minute, but it might be like a song that I've learned early in the week.
Yeah, you can have
but I haven't played it for the last couple of days. I've been doing other things. Let's just make sure I can still play it because I'm playing it tomorrow, and that's super helpful that you can sort of do that. But I've been known to practice stuff in the car, like all sorts of things.
I still I do the set list for my band, and they get the song list. I get a set list with a couple of little tab reminders on mine.
Oh yeah,
do you know what I mean? Just to jog my memory, because I'm getting old.
Yeah,
and I could have played the song for 20 years, and one day, there's a gig. You're like, what is? I've forgotten how to play that. You know what I mean? It's just really weird.
Yeah, I think for me, where I'm playing with backing music quite a lot. So the way I set up for daytime, for example, the way I set up is basically iPads, speakers, all wireless, all battery powered, all nice and smart. But I'm triggering the backing tracks off of the iPad. And sometimes I do look at a song and kind of go like the name of a song, and I'm like, I know I've played that a million times. But if you put a gun to my head right now and said, how does it go? I can tell you.
No, exactly.
And so there's that kind of like that leap of faith almost that you have to trust in yourself.
It's all based on the first note and all.
Start that track.
Yeah.
And it's going to start that track, and I'm going to hope that the introduction of the track reminds me how it goes. Yeah. Because if it don't, this will be a very long 3 minutes. And it always does, but there's still that kind of leap of faith of like, I've just got to back myself here. That when I hit that button, I'm going to remember how it goes. And there are a few songs that are quite similar. And occasionally, unless I really concentrate, like a couple of times I've almost slipped into playing a different song, just because the backing music's quite similar.
Yeah.
And you've kind of got to be quite conscious of like, no, it's not that one. Yeah. It's this one. The
last gig I did was in Maidstone, right? And what time was it? It was about 9:30 gig.
9:30 or something.
And at 8:30, where I'm still here, about to drive to Maidstone. Yeah. Get a call. The guitarist has had to turn around for various reasons, and he can't make it. And we're like, oh God! Right.
An hour before the gig.
Yeah. And I am able to put a guitar amp into my bass and go up an octave, and it sounds a little bit like, which would beef it out a little bit. And we were tempted to just do that, but then we managed to get this guitarist. Right? And so when you get another guitar, it was a lovely lad, really good guitarist, but you start changing your set, didn't you?
Yeah, of course you do,
to suit what he's used to. And then Come Together came up, which I've played a million times in 20 odd years.
Beatles.
The Beatles Come Together. Yeah. Could I remember what key it was in? Yeah. I couldn't, right? I started off completely wrong key, and then I managed to get hold of it. And then I'm like, I just can't remember any of this song.
Yeah.
It was really weird, right? And they were singing it, and we were getting through it. It was far slower, far funkier than we've ever played before. And I managed to get my ass through it. By the end of it, I had it sort of there. And we were laughing and playing at the same time, thinking, how are we going to get through this? We did it.
Yeah.
Finished the gig. That was the only one that really fell over a little bit. And then I had this bloke come up to me at the end. He said, I'm a bass player. He said, that is the best Come Together I've ever heard. And my mates, the singer and the drummer, was putting his drums away, the singer was putting her stuff away, and she heard him, and I heard them laughing behind because they knew how much I ballsed it up. It's funny, isn't it? It's just funny how you...
but
it's
then
the remix.
But it's just really weird. Like, he meant it. This guy meant it.
But if I ever come and watch your gig and you say to me, oh my God, I totally messed up on this, idea. I'm like...
that's the thing. It's only really the band and a couple of musicians watching that know what's going on.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a funny one, that, because I think you've kind of... It's a hard one because you've got to kind of definitely remember that. I think a massive part of the confidence of any performer comes from the fact that experience has taught you that if it does go a bit wrong, you're more than likely the person knows anyway. Yeah. But equally, that can become, if you aren't careful, I think like almost like a crutch to lean back on, and it can start to then justify becoming a bit lazy. And I've definitely seen musicians go that way, where they start having that kind of mindset of, oh, it'd be good enough. No one will tell. The thing is, it depends on where you set the bar.
Yeah, exactly.
If you set the bar high and you fall short of it, then you're probably okay. If you set the bar pretty low and you find yourself falling short of it, then maybe you're starting to get in territory where you're not okay.
Oh, definitely. I completely agree. Like,
but you've got to find that middle ground.
It was one of those situations, you know, we had a guy come on. I haven't played it for a while. But if there's two songs like that, then I'm like, I'm pissed off about this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm pissed off this has happened. But
sometimes the professionalism is about just making it work.
Yeah.
You know, we're not in an ideal situation. Yeah. This is definitely less than ideal if you've got a guitar player that's been drafted in less than an hour before the gig.
Or a request. If you balls up a request, they know you're going to probably balls it up anyway. You're going to have a go. Isn't it? You can't be hard on yourself for a request coming over.
This is it.
Yeah.
But if the bride's walking down the aisle and you don't know it,
exactly.
There's no way to hide. This is it. There's no way to hide.
Yeah.
And I definitely think some musicians can be maybe a little bit complacent and using that as kind of justification of like, oh, it'll be okay. No one else will be able to tell. It's like,
And I
definitely know of, I have known of musicians that have kind of got a name for that. And
100%. Yeah.
It's not a good road to go down. But yeah, when you set the bar high, then on rare occasions something does outside your control happen. at least you're up there anyway. So if it does slip a little bit, you're still going to be pretty competent.
So what happens when you make a mistake then?
I don't.
Is it?
What a silly question. What are you here for? No, go on.
Is it very obvious on the sax? Or can
depends.
you sort of...
It's a very...
I mean, if I'm doing like a drinks reception, for example, so I'm playing for 2 hours, okay, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I play every single note correctly, because that would be an absolute bald-faced lie and just totally unrealistic. It's just not going to happen. But I think there's a couple of things at play. So one is the fact that just part of the style of what I do, I'm kind of interpreting the songs anyway. So I'm not playing anything exactly as it kind of should be, because that's kind of not people expecting. Like if I want to hear the song as it should be, just go get Spotify, you know? And as soon as you're replacing the vocals with sax anyway, already straight away you're in territory of we're changing this. So it does mean that if I do have a sort of a brief moment where I blank for whatever and misremember how a part goes or something like that, I can kind of bust my way out of it just because it is the style that I'm there to do. So there's an element of kind of like, if you build a precedent that I'm not playing this exactly how it's meant to go, when you do have a moment where you just forget how it's meant to go, it's like, well, that's fine because I'm not playing it how it's meant to go anyway. Again, like I said a moment ago, like that can become, if you're not careful, almost like an excuse for not knowing it. But at the same time, if you're gonna, I mean, if you look at my repertoire, for example, just this what we call the sax covers, which is like a blanket name for what I described earlier of like playing sax rather than the vocals. So using like a karaoke track essentially playing. So like if you look at my repertoire online, it's on the website, there's like over 200 songs. So I'm not going to know every single note of every single one of 200 songs exactly as the person sings it on the record, because it's just not realistic.
No, it's not.
But what you want as the client, as the guest, is to hear a song you recognise, maybe in a slightly different way, so it's a bit more interesting, and just get a really good vibe from it. So from that point of view, like I haven't got to play it kind of exactly as it kind of should be, if that makes makes sense.
So what else goes wrong then? If you've
Why
got
do you keep
iPads?
doing the negative for him?
No. I'm just thinking like how he deals with.
Yeah, so you probably lose the PA, your mic and the PA every now.
From my point of view, just purely being professional, it's backups for backups for backups.
Yeah.
So if I'm playing background music, for example, for a daytime, I'm playing battery speakers, like I said, with an iPad. Okay, in the back of my car, I've more than likely got 4 speakers.
Yeah.
And I've got definitely a minimum of 2 sound sources. So I've got 2 iPads.
Yes, I have 7 cameras. I take 7 cameras to a wedding. So
I've got 2 iPads. So if one goes wrong or the battery somehow has run flat and I wasn't aware or something, obviously things are always charged, but there's stuff that can happen. You know, absolutely. Someone knocks over and the screen cracks, or there's all things that can happen. I've always got a backup,
and that's what you've got to remember for weddings, that sort of thing.
100%.
Because there's many people that can play sax, but there's not many people that can prep for something that goes wrong.
100%, absolutely. I think that's the experience thing as well. I don't know about you guys, but I've always said you learn from lucky escapes. Like sometimes something will go wrong and you'll be like, actually, I got through that because it was fine because I had this.
Yeah.
But if something else had happened, actually I might have been stuck. So then you put another cable in the bag, which would got you out of it. So you're almost like you're solving hypothetical problems.
100%.
Yeah.
And that means that you're never actually going to find a problem that you haven't actually prepped for.
Every couple I've done in 25 years has had their video. Simple as that.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. This is it. No, I've got what I call. Careful. I've got what I call my if all else fails cable. A relatively recent acquisition I just found on Amazon. It's basically it's a stereo jack cable, but on the other end it's got the jack that goes in the headphone socket. It's also got the connection that goes in the old style iPhone, the lightning cable, and it's got a connection that goes in the newer style iPhone or the Android phone, the USB-C. So basically, whatever happens, if all else fails,
that will plug in.
With that cable, I can plug anything into anything. So if there was, if 25 things all went wrong at the same time that for whatever reason I couldn't solve.
I mean,
I can take the phone off the guy at the bar and plug it in, and we've got music. You know,
because we've said that before. Worst ever case scenario. Phones nowadays are very good. We can take photos.
Especially
we can do.
With it as well.
The thing
we
is,
can take photos. We can film a wedding. If it's worst case scenario,
as embarrassing as
7 cameras,
as embarrassing as that would be, I've got 7 cameras, right, and I'm filming a ceremony with 2/3. But if my main camera goes, I've sometimes used to have a GoPro on top of that just in case.
Yeah.
So at least that would film it. But if something horrendous, it's my most reliable camera. But if something horrendous happened there, I wouldn't be afraid to get my phone out and catch that angle. As embarrassing as it would be, at the end of the day, I've got to capture their ceremony.
The thing is that, to be honest, I mean, again, it's never ever happened.
It's not happened to me.
That Get Agile free cable's never been used, and hopefully it will never be used. But it's the sort of thing where if I was to find myself in that position where everything has just gone wrong, and I'm resorting to plugging a phone with Spotify into a speaker and going, look, that's your music, I would refund the couple as a starting point.
Of course.
But I also wouldn't leave with no music for the night.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not there to plug a phone with Spotify into a speaker. That's not what they're paying for. But that still means they've got music. They haven't got silence for their evening reception. They've got music. And then we sort everything else out from there. But it just means that whatever happens...
Do you have nightmares?
No, because I have everything prepped.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I still have the odd nightmare.
Sometimes I wonder how some people can sleep.
I still have the odd nightmare about it. But our backup is, if the photos go wrong, I'll be able to get grabs from the video.
Yeah.
And a little vice versa.
If I never produced a video somehow, you just don't know. Your gear might get nicked. You know, it could be something stupid like that, and all your memory cards are in.
Go wrong.
Then I will create, obviously, all money back, and then create a video with the photos.
Just something.
Yeah.
Something.
Or just say, did any of your guests film anything? Just give me everything. I'll create. You'll get your money back, but I'll create you something.
Yeah, I think
my worst thing is worrying about being stuck in traffic and not getting there in time.
But that's why you just leave plenty of time.
Loads of time.
We've only had that happen once, haven't we? When it was on.
We've been on time.
Yeah, we were on time, but not as on time as we wanted to be.
No, I like to be at least 2 hours.
The bride wasn't there or anything like that. But it was, we were going down to the coast, weren't we? And it was really hot, and there'd been a massive accident on the M2. So we had to go via Maidstone. Then it was something happened there, and then via something else. And we were literally stressing so much, calling the groom up, and he was going, don't worry about it, I haven't even left yet. I went, you might want to leave then, you know.
You crack on.
And we were just constantly going, we need to get there this time. And we were, because like I said, we normally are 2 hours beforehand. But we were about an hour beforehand, and we hated it. Absolutely hated it. It was so stressful because we were like, right, I know we've still got an hour before anything even happens, but we're normally prepped, ready, you know, we're hanging around basically at this point because we're so prepared. But we hate that, don't we? Hate it.
And your recent gig that we see you at was only a week ago.
Yeah,
was that the one
Wilder
at
Kent?
Yeah, wasn't it? Yeah,
Wilder Kent. Did that go well? They were a nice couple.
They were
really nice couple.
They were a good laugh.
Chilled out couple. Really lovely. She was a little pocket rocket, wasn't she? She's lovely little
She was so sweet. Bless her.
I noticed you set up your own PA next to the DJs.
Yes.
Does that happen often, or do they allow you to plug in sometimes?
This is where, again, I differ from a lot of sax players that work with DJs, because obviously I talk to a lot of people, I talk to a lot of DJs, and there's definitely, from what I gather, a lot of sax players that just kind of like just rock up.
I've got some stories.
Haven't even like made any contact, and they just rock up and go, right, where am I plugging in? You know?
Yes.
And as being a DJ myself as well, it's like, you know, we pay a lot of money for this gear. No one else has any right to use it. Like, I wouldn't walk up to you and go like, close your camera.
He basically said, I've spoke to a DJ about it, and once again, the saxophone player. Well, I don't say once again. It's only happened once to me. The saxophone player rocked up as if like they owned the place.
Yeah.
I know who.
Here I am, everyone. Here I am, sort of thing.
Don't worry, I'm here.
Yeah.
Oh God! Thank God the saxophone player's here. This wedding would have been a shambles.
Was this Chilton Rock? Is this the same person?
Yeah. And
mention their names, of course.
Just the location. I ain't
no. I'm not going to say that or whose wedding it was.
I'm not even saying.
I'm
not even going to say the gender of the saxophone player. So 50-50. And rocked up and went, I'm going to plug in, and it's like, no, you're not. You're not insured to plug in, and I didn't even know, until I. No, I am. No, you're not. Sorry, you're not.
Yeah.
And then they got their gear out. They had secondary gear in the car, got out and set out, all huffy and puffy.
Yeah.
So he made everything a semitone, half a semitone. Off.
Yeah, that's where you don't go. That's so unprofessional. That's so unprofessional. It's not the bride and groom's fault.
No, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, I get that 100%, and I get how people can be miffed with other suppliers and stuff. But the bride and groom, the guests, should never suffer. Should never know about.
So my question is, with a baritone and trumpet, let's go back to me again. You can bring that semitone, half a semitone in a bit by sliding. Can you do that with a sax?
Not really.
No, I just wondered if a sax works. And does sax have the old spit hole as well, where you can blow? Oh, really? No. So you don't spit much into a sax?
You get a bit of condensation. And then sometimes if I'm playing for a while, you kind of like tip the sax up and a bit of moisture kind of comes out.
Right, okay, but there's no dedicated...
No, and it's not valve. Spit really. I know brass players call it the spit valve, but it's not really spit, it's just condensation. It's
condensation, yeah.
But I mean, just going back to you saying just a minute ago, I mean, I always religiously contact the DJ before I'm going to play with them, even if I've got to find out sort of who they are, because sometimes the bride and groom won't even have a name. It's like, oh, it's the house DJ at such and such a venue, and it's like, well, they've got 5 house DJs, so I'll hit the venue up and be like, who am I playing with on this day? They'll then hopefully let me know, and then I'll always contact the DJ and just be like, hey, you know, looking forward to playing with you. I'm arriving at roughly this time. I'm playing this amount of time. If it's someone I haven't worked with before, which is pretty rare these days, I'll usually talk a little bit about what kind of music we can play, which is pretty much anything, to be honest, but it's just good for them to know that. And then I always say to them, like, is it okay if I plug into your system? Like, it does look a bit smarter if we're going through one system. You don't want you sort of wedding looking like Glastonbury, just, you know, speakers everywhere, you know. Of course, and they'll usually come back to me and be like, yep, that's totally fine. I've got a spare mic socket you plug into it. And that is easier, 100%. It is easier. It looks smarter. It sounds better. It's just easier. But at the same time, if they come back to me and go, actually, no, and usually they'll come back and be like, oh, I work as a sax player. I want to blew one of my speakers and stuff. Whether that's true or they're just saying that is almost like an excuse for saying no.
Yeah.
I don't need an excuse, but I think some people kind of like feel that.
As long as you know where you are.
Yeah, this is it.
That's the thing.
And things I've always got my gear in a car here. Because apart from anything else, if you're the DJ and I said to you, can I play for your gear? And you've gone, yeah, no problem. And I've turned up and your gear doesn't work.
Yes.
Where's my contract at? Because I've got a contract with a couple to provide music for the evening. It's not your fault that I can't do my thing. So I can't charge you. I definitely can't charge the couple. Because they haven't received what I said I'm going to give. So I've got 2 speakers at the back of my car, minimum anyway. Because if nothing else, it might be a bit quieter than I'm expecting. You know, 2 of my little speakers rather than the full DJ rig. But I've been known to save the day on parties before. I've done like twice in my career. I've had a power cut on the evening reception where I've been due to play with the DJ. In fact, one of them I was due to play with the DJ. The other one, bit more complicated. I was there during the daytime and the DJ arrived and I was going somewhere else. So I left my battery speakers with that DJ because I knew him and said, look, you know, use these. And they've had music in the evening reception because I've got battery powered speakers.
What are they knocking out wattage-wise, those battery ones?
So the ones I use, they're Mackeys.
I use Mackeys.
The Thump Go. And they're absolutely brilliant. I've got 4 of them. They're, I think, 300 watts each.
Blimey, that's good.
But they've got a decent thump.
How long they last for when they charge up?
Ages. Really? The battery will last longer than the battery and whatever you plug into it. So I've never ever pushed them to what because the iPad ran out of battery before the speaker.
Really?
And you can change the batteries in as well really easily. You can just unscrew it and the whole battery unit comes out and you can buy them separately from Mackie. So you can even have like spare ones charged. Or what I like about that is that, you know, like if you buy anything battery powered, the batteries always things get knackered first. It's like you buy a phone. 2 years later, the battery goes. So these, you're not throwing a whole thing and skip, obviously, which is, you know, not good for the planet apart from good for your pocket. You can just change the battery. Absolutely brilliant they are.
I remember when phones used to be like that.
What
you could just slot the battery out.
Oh yeah.
They should bring that back. Should be a law, that really. Should be some sort of environmental law.
But so I've got 4 of them, like I say, and that's ideal because if I'm doing like a daytime, so I'm doing the ceremony and the drinks reception, okay, it means I can have 2 speakers set up where the ceremony is and 2 speakers set up where the drinks reception is before the day starts. So I'm not carrying stuff around, you know, faffing about in front of the guests. But also means if I'm doing like a more of a louder kind of setup, so I'm doing like a house party or a pool party or something, like not a big venue, but something with more sort of dance music, I can use all 4. So I put 2 on stands, 2 on the bottom, like sort of tops and subs. They're not actually subs, but it kind of looks like it, you know. And that's more than enough for, you know, a garden party or a house party or something.
Do you have a favourite style of party that you're like, oh yes, they want this?
What, in terms of like the style of the book, like a wedding, anniversary?
No, music.
Music-wise, see, this again is the question I get asked quite a lot, and it sounds like again like such a cop-out, but I genuinely don't mind.
What cop-out?
The thing is, it does sound that, but I genuinely don't mind. Like I always say, the music that I want to play is the music you want to listen to, because if I'm playing and you're vibing with it, I'm enjoying myself. I'm happy. So whether that is old school stuff or modern stuff or dance stuff or R&B or whatever it might be, if you're into it, I get that back off you, so I really enjoy it.
What's the weirdest request that you've ever been asked to do?
Probably,
party, like song-wise for a party or a wedding or anything, really.
Probably the weirdest request I've ever had, I might think of another one now, but because there's been a fair few. The weirdest one I've ever had was the bride who wanted to walk down the aisle to the Imperial March from Star Wars.
Oh, yes.
That one. That was quite weird.
That's a bit weird on sax.
Yeah,
it worked perfectly well. It was an odd choice, it was her wedding, like you do you. But I've had another one. I had a bride walk down the aisle to Under Pressure. That was quite a funny one. And just like all sorts of like quirky stuff like that. But that's the thing with a wedding day, like there's traditional ways of doing it, but there's no reason why you've got to be traditional about it.
No.
So
there are some weird requests.
with your couples, do you sit down and talk to them about their vibe of the wedding and then get a sense of what they want for the playlist?
I've got one package I offer, which is like on my VIP package. Basically, means I'm there all day.
Right.
So for those ones, I do always try and get some sit down, even like a Zoom or something, so I can actually go through everything because I'm very heavily involved. For most of what I do, I'm only there for say half a day, if that. Sometimes only say the drink reception for like 2 hours. And so where I do quite a lot of weddings, if I was to actually sort of sit down and schedule an appointment every single one, like it simply wouldn't be possible. And it's just kind of not necessary for what I do. And again, for you guys, you're there all day, you're a huge part of the day, so no doubt you guys probably do, as most photographers and stuff do.
But have a brief chat with them, didn't we? You'd be surprised how many now you would chat with them over text. And they're happy with that, and you're like, blimey, we'll see you on the day then. You sure you don't want to chat beforehand? No, we're fine. But we always try and get a call in, don't we? Because times change and they don't think to tell you, even the ceremony time can change last minute.
But I'll always like check details.
Yeah,
I send them like free requests forms and stuff like that, so they can write down what songs they want, all that kind of thing. But no, I tend to not do. I mean, all my couples know that I'm on the end of the phone. So if they have any questions, don't give me a call or an email or whatever. But I don't tend to schedule appointments just because it's kind of not necessary. I occasionally have one come to me and go, when can we sit down and chat about this? And I usually go back and go, look, not really necessary. Obviously, give me a call if you have a question, that's not a problem. But actually, here's the form, here's all the details. Like, is there anything else that you kind of want to know? And you usually actually sit down and think about it. So actually, no, not really.
You're quite stealthy when you turn up as well.
I never know. I say never. Like quite often, I'm not told if I'm a surprise or not.
Yes.
I've done enough now where I've not been told that I was a surprise until I found out when I got there. That I now kind of always assume that I am, just in case. I did one, for example. It's one of my best venues where I know all the staff and stuff. And I turned up. And I was literally, this was before the day began, so the bride's obviously getting ready, the groom's already there, obviously. And I was literally about to just walk up to the groom and be like, hey man, I'm your sax player, looking forward to playing for you, how you feeling? You're just being friendly. And I started talking to the events planner, like, kind of sort of ran into her en route to the groom and started talking to her. I was like, I'm going to go say hi to the groom. She's like, don't. Like, what do you mean? Well, you're a surprise. She's booked you as a surprise for the groom. I'm like, she ain't. Like that's not the case. It's like, I'm sure he doesn't know you're here. 100% doesn't know you're here. So that really bugged me. And I did the gig and stuff, and the groom was really surprised, and it was lovely. But it really bugged me because I don't get stuff wrong. I was like, the admin side, I'm meticulous with the admin. And that really played on my mind. And I went home and I went through, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I've missed this. How have I not written this down? Like I nearly blew it. Like how have I missed this? And I went through every email. I went through the booking form, went through the contract. There's nothing. And I hadn't been told by the bride that she booked me as a surprise for
So now you try and be stealthy on all of them.
So now I'm just like, you know what? Like just sneak in.
Because I'm quite observant. What he does is he sort of starts playing sort of behind the DJ, don't you? And then all of a sudden comes out.
I usually get a couple of notes in. Just
a couple of notes warming in. And then
you don't want to step on a dance floor and they can't hear you. That's just embarrassing.
We end up dancing together because I'm filming him with a gimbal, dancing around him, rotating around him while everyone's going like that. Yeah, we never spoken, but we dance all the time together.
Yeah, I like vibing with other suppliers, like even like the staff, the venue and stuff. I'll quite often sort of rope them in for a bit of a dance if they're walking past carrying drinks or whatever. It's like, it's just a bit of fun. Like the guests get that as well, and they kind of get just the kind of the atmosphere that creates. It hasn't got to be formal, like I'm here to do a job, you know, we just have fun.
No, it's cool. Well, I do like it when vendors have to work together like that, because I've been with you, Raf, DJ,
that's fun,
who loves his dry ice, Raf, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does, doesn't he?
So me, you and Raf, and then we're creating some, you know, a really good sort of cinematic thing, because the dry ice comes up and the saxophone player's in the middle of the dry ice, and I'm panning round. And you don't realise, without even chatting with each other about it, you've created something for this bride and groom, and you didn't even plan it. You know?
Well, if you know your individual jobs well, then it shouldn't be too difficult to blend with other people that know their individual job well.
So do you ever do first dance? Yes. You do?
Yeah, very regularly. So if I'm doing an evening session, I always tend to give the couple the choice of, do you want me to join in during your first dance or just after? I mean, I can do later slots as well, but the general rule, most people want me to be there at the beginning to kind of get the party going, essentially. I mean, by 10:30 the party will be going anyway, so I'm essentially a bit obsolete. But it's like 7:30, it's going to be harder work. So normally if I'm joining in during the first dance, I'll normally let them dance for the first minute or so you guys can get the perfect pictures of them by themselves, all romantic and stuff. And then I tend to get involved from there. And quite often most couples will ask the DJ to invite the guests on the dance floor at that point anyway, so I kind of get involved then, and it just dovetails perfectly then into the party. You know, then drop some bangers and get them going. You guys get your party shots and you can go home.
Now, obviously, being in a band, you sometimes get drunk and people come up. Can I have a go?
It's chicken.
Oh, honestly,
it's not being attacked though, is he?
No. Well, not as far as I'm aware.
Okay.
The can I have a go thing, I don't get. Like, I didn't get that before COVID, and then literally the first evening gig I did after COVID, I got another can I have a go? And I was like, have you learned nothing? Like, let's just make out now and get it over with. Do you know what I mean? Like, this has been in my mouth for the last 2 hours.
Have you ever had another sax player turn up with their sax and sort of do a duet type sax thing with you?
No.
What, like if someone turns up to a wedding and...
You know, my friend who's going to be a bridesmaid, she also plays sax. Do you mind if she sort of does a dueling thing
I've done a couple, like, in the past where I've actually known the other sax player. Like, for example, because I teach a bit as well, I did the wedding of one of my adult learners' daughter once, and he played a song with me, but that was planned. Like, I taught it him and the rest of it. But I've never had like sort of a gate crash. Just here's my emergency sax I always have in my pocket in case I pull it out. You know.
I happen to have a sax in my boot.
This is it. What are the chances?
Have you ever got injured doing your job? Because you're quite involved with them on the dance floor.
Like a bit like a mic hitting a singer.
Yeah. Occasionally I've been bumped a bit, and to be honest, that is a bit annoying because obviously you've got it. That can give you a bit of a fat lip. That's probably happened maybe 2 or 3 times. I'm pretty good on kind of my spatial awareness when I'm playing on the dance floor.
Yeah, you know when to get out of there.
This is it, and also as well, you'll probably notice from like looking at pictures of me that you've taken, I tend to stand like quite well spread. Like I tend to legs up
low stance.
This is it, and that's partly because I kind of feel like it's quite a commanding, like it draws a bit of attention, which is what I'm there for. And it kind of looks quite showy, but in real terms, it's just so if I get bumped, I'm not going to fall over. Because I'm not particularly big, like I haven't got a huge centre of gravity, so just being a bit more spread just means I'm a bit more durable if I do. No one bumps you deliberately, but they're dancing, they don't realise you're behind them, you get a bit of an elbow, like it happens.
Do you have a backup sax with you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've got backups of everything. Backups of everything.
Got to, isn't he?
I thought he would.
Although, to be honest,
I'd be surprised if he said no.
To be honest, when you know your instrument well enough, there's not much that can happen to a sax that I can't fix on the fly, to the point where I'd still rather use my first choice sax having been fixed, having been sort of lodged. I've got screwdrivers, I've got different sorts of tape and stuff like that I can use if necessary.
How often do you change a reed on a sax?
So I use synthetic reeds. So the reeds I use are kind of, they're sort of plastic. They're not simple plastic. They're a bit more complicated than that. But I use those because they're massively more durable and more consistent and more reliable, and they do last long as well. They're also 10 times as expensive. But one of my reeds lasts me probably 3 or 4 months.
All right,
Whereas
okay, cool.
if you use like traditional cane reeds, which I used to use, I always say to the guys I teach, you want to be changing reed roughly every month. It's a bit like tyres on a car. Like it might not have blown,
and is the tone better on a
find...
Is the tone better on a synthetic to a cane? Is
no,
it a preference?
It's more about consistency rather than better or worse.
Right,
because cane reeds, every cane reed is different.
Bend's different.
They grow in plants. They're organic creations, so they're going to be, their consistency is never going to be perfect. So I always say that a synthetic reed is. I was having this conversation with someone literally yesterday. A synthetic reed is never going to be as good as a really, really, really good cane reed, but it's also a lot better than a bad cane reed. So it's just the consistency.
Yeah.
And also cane reeds suffer much more of like humidity and temperature and stuff like that. So I remember last summer I did a wedding at one venue where it was a really hot day. It was like 34 degrees or something. And I played the ceremony outside and it was burningly hot, and then we went inside to the bar, which is like super air conditioned. I reckon we went from like 35 degrees to about 15 degrees. A cane reed would go, not doing it,
because it would be picking up the moisture and
everywhere. Yeah, but again, synthetic reed goes, what's new? And when you're working as a pro, also as well, like I'm quite often, like I said earlier, I'm off as a surprise, so I haven't got a chance to warm up necessarily.
No.
You've got to pull it out and go bang party time. And again, synthetic reeds will do that, whereas cane reeds will just go, give us a chance. You're not played me yet.
I use graphite necks, which is a very similar thing.
It's just durable, consistent.
It's never go out of tune.
It's exactly the same thing. So it's never going to sound as good as a perfect cane reed, but it sounds a lot better than a bad one. And to be honest, it's the kind of nuance that only the sax player is going to notice anyway. Never as a guest in a dance floor going, I wish I was using a cane reed. It's not going to make any difference. It's just way more practical.
Question time.
Yeah, I was going to say, right, first of all, you said you teach a little bit, is that right? So what sort of ages do you teach? Youngsters or anyone?
So I teach basically anybody. I don't do as much as I used to. When I first started out the whole pro music thing, my career was heavily teaching based with a few gigs on the side. And that's, like I was saying earlier, when I was sort of grafting, was like creating the sax player market. And then gradually that kind of passed off. So now the vast majority of my income is now from the performance side. Yeah. But I do some teaching as well, still, just less than I used to. But I teach at a couple of schools where the kids actually come out to have their lessons with me and then go back to their classes afterwards. And I run like a couple of school bands and stuff like that. And then I do some teaching outside school as well. Not much. That's what I've really kind of cut back on. But I work at one music school on a Monday. In fact, it was yesterday, where again, like anyone, any age, just comes to the music school for their half-hour slot. The admin of the music school does all the billing and sort of bookings and stuff like that. I just turn up and teach. That's basically all sorts of music, which is little plug there, which is kind of sandwichy, sort of DLE sort of end of Kent. And it's a really nice environment. I say everyone's there to learn music, so it's really nice. But
And where do you see this going, let's say 5 years, 10 years time?
So that's the thing you see, because when the sax player thing properly kicked off, and the Ibiza sax thing became huge and stuff, and I said earlier, like I really felt like it was, a bubble that was going to burst. We're going to be super popular for a little while, then there'll be a natural reaction against it. No one want to see a saxophone even at 1,000,000 miles, and I'll be out of work. But I keep waiting for that bubble to burst, and it's not. I think one of the reasons why I then went into DJing as well is because I felt like that creates a natural longevity. I think if that fad does start to pass,
you've got backup.
It's not even so much that I'll do that instead. It's more like I kind of feel like someone said to me a little while ago, a sax player is this year's chocolate fountain. And you'll know there was a time when every wedding had a chocolate fountain. Now you don't see him very often, but you do still see him. And the way I look at it is like, back in when every wedding had chocolate fountain, there was 1,000 chocolate fountain companies. As it became less popular, only the good ones survived. Only the ones that could offer an extra something, or that were particularly high quality. And that's kind of my mindset. Like I've always tried to use this stage, these few years where it is super popular, just to really establish myself as being the very best I can possibly be at what I do. And from my point of view, from the feedback I get, like that's going pretty well. Like I think I am very, very widely respected.
Well, we definitely see you more than
the best around.
We see him more than any other sax player.
Yeah, and again, that speaks volumes. So I'm really pleased about that. And again, like adding the DJing side of it as well, it's like, oh, you can do both. Okay, that's going to save, frankly, a little bit of money. Which obviously is always to a couple planning a wedding. You know, you're paying one person rather than two. But also as well, like it sets you apart from the rank and file sax players that only turn up and do their hour stint and then go home. It's like, I can do that, or I can do the whole day. I can be playing it down the aisle. I can be entertaining your guests whilst you're having your photographs and having the drinks and canapes. I can be playing whilst you're having your wedding breakfast, some background vibes whilst you're eating, creating a sort of feel there. And I can do the whole party. Any or all of the above. So I think from longevity point of view, to make sure that I'm the chocolate fountain that's still being booked even when the fad's passed, if that makes sense. That's kind of the way, because I can only do one wedding at a time. So I just need one person in the southeast to want a sax player every weekend. And if you're top of the list, then you're going to be working. Whereas if you're 10th on the list and only 9 people want a sax player that day, you've got the day off. And that's kind of the way I try and look at it, because it is a business. You have to be competitive. You have to, try and be the best you can possibly be, partly for your own benefit, partly obviously for the people you're playing for, the people who are booking, that you want to have a really special day. But if I'm thinking, where am I in 5 years, I've got to make sure that I'm in a position to still be doing this because I love it.
And how do you find running the whole business? Because I'm assuming it's just you doing the whole business. How do you find doing
what's your wife do?
Social media side of it?
Wife's full-time mum. To
right.
be fair, very, very good at it. 100%. You're absolutely right. It's draining, isn't it? It's really draining. I often joke, if I spent as much time with a sax in my hands as I spent bent over a laptop, I'd be better than I am. Like, there's just so much. And partly I'm a rod for my own back, because I do try very hard to make the admin proper slick. One of the main things I get back in my reviews is, Dave was super easy to deal with. He dotted every I, he crossed every T, and that means you can get to the party and just enjoy yourself. So I do make sure that I've got all that. So I do create work for myself, maybe that some people don't do, and that's kind of my own choice. But the amount of emails, the amount of DMs. We were saying before we started on the camera, weren't we? Like, you get messages every which way
from every
text,
social
WhatsApp,
media
platform. On every platform. You get messages on your website. You get messages like, and
it literally has to be like a tick list in the morning. Right, when I sit down at my desk, let's check this.
Literally
answer all of these different emails from all of these different platforms. And don't forget putting everything advertising on social media now. It's so draining. It's, if you're not doing a wedding, you're doing that for the wedding. So
the social thing is soul sucking, isn't it?
I mean, luckily we share some of it, don't we?
So we do now, thank God I made you pull your weight.
But I couldn't do, if it was just photography, I don't think I could do it all on my own. I would have to hire someone, I think, to do that side of it, because it's just draining.
The problem with that, from my point of view, is that I am a megalomaniac. The idea of hiring someone to do my work for me, literally, it's about having nightmares. That would be my nightmare. Because
for one, you've got to train them how you want it to be.
And that's just so
And then as soon as they do something out of what you're used to, you're like,
The thing is, it's not even like they do something wrong.
No,
they're
doing it their way.
Something how I wouldn't do it. And then that doesn't connect in my head. And also, I mean, I worked with a DJ recently, obviously mentioned no names, who was doing like an all-day package, and I was there with him as well. And he'd hired a couple of people to do some stuff for him. And the guy spent most of the evening reception, when he was trying to DJ, running around trying to fix the photo booth that wasn't working, trying to fix the dance floor that wasn't working. There was the wrong, like photo booths and stuff often have like a placeholder thing with the couple's name and stuff. That was wrong, and all the rest of it. And I'm looking thinking, why are you paying these people to do a job they're clearly incapable of doing? Which might be because they're useless. It might be because you haven't trained them properly.
It might be because it's not giving them enough information.
Either way, it ain't working now. I mean, he got to the evening reception where he had someone set up his DJ booth for him, and they plugged everything wrong. So he had to rip everything out, change it. All it was, they put the cables in the back of the controller around the wrong way.
Right.
So you had basically ins where the out should be and out to the in should be.
But it's worse
the way
trying
the
to
controller
diagnose
was
it.
built into the booth, he had to basically pull everything out to get it all out. It's like, at what point do you just do it yourself?
Yeah.
And it is something I've often kind of thought about, like, do I get an assistant even on the day, that kind of thing. And there's definitely advantages to that, especially with social media content and stuff like that. Having someone there who can like sort of sneakily do a bit of filming and stuff would be fantastic for the socials. I know some guys do that. But again, like,
I read something
I'm not
recently
good at delegating.
that said, this person's wedding isn't your chance to market.
No,
you know,
that's
it is their wedding,
true.
and they have hired you to do your job. You shouldn't then go around and market yourself at someone else's wedding, should you? Yes, you need content to advertise.
But this is it. They also, the couple that booked you, have also no doubt seen videos of you playing at other people's weddings. So when the boot's on the other foot, it's like that's how they knew they were going to choose you. So I think there's definitely a line that you don't want to cross. And I think there are some players, in my experience, who do cross that line. But in my opinion, rather. But yeah, it's an awkward one. And I also feel as well, I don't know if this is, actually, you might have an opinion on this, I don't know, but I feel potentially as a man, I think that can be a bit different as well. Because I think where often the dance floor is full of women, let's be honest, generally speaking, the girls are first up dancing and they're wearing dresses and dancing around and stuff. I kind of feel like, it's probably just in my head, I'm probably being too conscious, but I think if you're a female singer, sax player, DJ, whatever, to be filming that, I think potentially doesn't. I feel like I'm going to get people thinking it's weird.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Do you know what I mean?
Like because you're a male and you've set your phone up and you're filming basically a bunch of girls dancing.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
it's like,
and I'm probably just in my own head about that. Probably 95% would go, that's silly.
I think you should personally.
It's completely normal. But
I think you should get the glasses, the filming glasses, and wear them while you're.
I think that might be considered.
You'll be looking down the end of a sax, and you'll be seeing people vibing.
It would be cool, to be fair.
Okay,
so
the next wedding you do, put a GoPro on his sax. Then is that what you're saying?
No, I need to have a torch.
I need to put a GoPro on his forehead.
On his forehead.
So he does need the glasses.
Yeah,
it would work cool. It would look cool.
I'll tell you what, actually, if you get in sort of comments under your video, I'd be interested to know what people think about this issue in particular, about wedding providers and suppliers using that as a chance to get content, and whether that's cool, whether it's not cool, whether there's a line of.
I think you just have to ask permission.
I think
you just ask permission.
It's actually in all my contracts.
If you say that,
we say that.
I'm going to be wearing glasses with a thing on. Do you mind if I use it for socials? You're just asking a question.
Yeah.
But who is
because
he
some of them
asking it
like
to,
being on it. So they get their own social.
That's a good point.
Yeah, but who is he asking it to?
The bride and
Is he
groom might
asking
go,
the
"It's
bride and
fine."
groom? That's fine. Or has he got to now make an announcement to the room? I'm actually filming you. Are you consenting to me filming you?
Yeah, please all sign this form then get back to the dance floor.
Who has he got
it's
to
awkward,
ask?
isn't it? But I think particularly being a male, I think that I feel like that does affect it. And again, I'd be interested to know in the comments maybe whether that's just purely me being almost like too careful.
Yeah.
And sort of thinking too hard about it, or whether I'm right, whether that is a thing.
Yeah.
See, I think ours is already in the contract.
We say
Ours
we
is in the
can
contract.
use, but we don't actually.
Oh, it's in my contract as well. But it's one thing in the contract, it's one thing actually doing it.
Yeah.
But it's also my contract, for example, that I can help myself to any buffet food and stuff. And some I do, but not usually.
I wouldn't do. I don't have that in the contract, and I feel uncomfortable doing that unless they go on, have something.
The thing is,
I would never look over and go bang.
But then you get home at like 8 o'clock, don't you? Whereas I'm often there till.
We've been there all day.
Yeah, true. But then, presumably you get a meal during the day, do you?
Well, that's another thing.
Okay,
we don't demand.
That's very interesting. Like most
we just say,
the vast majority.
Yeah, we don't. We just say, can you tell us?
Let us know if we are, if not.
We don't mind either way. We just want to know. We bring our own stuff. Otherwise, we bring our own stuff anyway, don't we?
Yeah.
Well, we have snacks.
We just graze all day long.
From 9 o'clock all the way to 8 o'clock on a really hot day, you can't tell me we can't have at least a bottle of water or something.
Battery change, baby bell.
Just
I think
sugar rush.
the vast majority, in my experience, of photographers and videographers do have that.
Demand it. Yeah.
I don't ask for a daytime meal at all, even there all day, because to me that's quite expensive to be fair.
And that's what we said.
We just, like I say, we just asked the question.
And I think most people go to work and pack lunch.
Yeah.
There's no reason why I shouldn't.
Yeah, exactly.
But when it comes to the evening and there's an abundance of food on the table the guests will help themselves too. So that's why I feel like no harm, no foul. Yeah. But it's still in the contract that I'm allowed to. But I also do put it on the form, is it okay if, as well. So to be fair, it does give the bride a chance to go, actually, no, we've got limited numbers, we've got limited budget, actually no. And that's cool. That's not a problem if that's the case. But I tend to usually assume it's okay unless they say specifically
because
otherwise.
in our contract we say we will use, unless you specifically don't want us to, which we have had before.
Yeah, we have people say,
we will use your photos and your video for advertising. We don't specifically say we will film content on the day. You know, we are. No, but just for social media.
With phones or whatever.
Yeah. So, I mean, we would normally do a little post when everyone's sitting down eating, saying, today we're here at this venue, blah, blah, blah. That's it, really, isn't it?
When you're professional, your social media is advertising.
It is of what you produce, right? And that's what people want to see. Yeah. So all these things, it's all content creation during the day. One, they've got to have an assistant to do that, because if you do your job right, you shouldn't have time to content create on the day, right? So
I've now been holding these questions for about 10 minutes, 20 minutes.
What time is that?
We pick 4.
Where's next Thursday?
They're random They're random asked questions. You haven't got to answer all of them. You can if you want. They're random questions about anything.
Cool.
Take 4.
Any, mini, money,
and then we'll get to know your character.
Like that one. Am I taking 4 now?
Yeah.
Cool.
He likes a skinny one as well.
We all like a skinny one.
It's got 2 skinnies and I've got 2 fats.
2 skinnies and 2 fatties. Yeah, that's cool. Nice. So I just open these up and read them out, yeah?
That's always best.
Yeah, good stuff. If everyone had a warning label, what would yours say?
I've never heard that question.
I love that one.
That is good.
To be honest, probably just works too hard.
Works too hard.
That's probably. But
what would yours be?
I don't know what my
arsehole.
warning label is.
Just arsehole.
May bite. I don't know.
Comes with baggage.
Go on, not much.
Warning label. Yeah, it probably just works too hard, to be honest. But yeah.
What would mine say? Inappropriate?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Caution may swear.
No, not may swear. May say something inappropriate. Yeah. Old school. Caution, old school.
Has sax may honk. If your last text message was printed on a T-shirt, what would it say?
Oh my God! How weird is that?
Get that out of me.
We're desperate to see your text messages, aren't we?
Well, there you go. My last text message from my wife is 11 a.m. 26th August, dentist. There you go. We're living the dream. Living the dream.
It would be so. I don't know. It's a couple of arseholes that film. They want me to do a podcast. I won't be long because I don't like them.
Last message on T-shirt. Great stuff. Thanks. Have fun. That's in reply to a bride saying she'll fill out her booking form later because she's kind of playing a golf tournament. So great, thanks, have fun. That's my T-shirt.
No, that would be a reminder. Where am I going today? Oh yeah, I've got the dentist at this time.
Could be useful, couldn't it? To be fair, that's probably why I need my warning should be ridiculously forgetful. So that's probably quite useful, to be fair. If you could instantly master one skill, what would it be? Sax. What would it be? I'll tell you what, going back to what I was saying earlier, I wish I was better at the whole social media thing.
Yeah.
The social media thing, that is what I loosely make about. It's
a full-time job.
It's soul-sucking, it's draining, it's exhausting. The more work I put into a post, the least traction it gets.
That's what we've said before in the past.
It's ridiculous.
I was speaking to the content creator that we had at the same wedding that we were at. And she said to me, that I spent 2 hours on this post once and it was amazing. She thought it was amazing. She said, I put it up, got 30 likes, that's it. She said she did something in 10 seconds, whacked it up, millions of views. She said, I don't know why, I don't know what the difference is. She said, but I spent hours on this one and nothing on this one, and it was completely different.
That is a skill I wish I could master. If there was a way of, not bad, I've read it anyway. If there was a way of, like, they say like crack the algorithm. Okay, whatever crack in the algorithm it is, I've managed to do the opposite. That's sorry. The algorithm hates me.
The youngsters nowadays are, because obviously social media wasn't around when we were growing up, but it is for the kids now. So they get it like this. So all these content creators that are coming up is like the chocolate fountain of today as well.
Oh yeah, the content.
But because they know, they've learnt it from such a young age and they've grown up with it. It's like second nature for them.
What's your view of content creators? Because I've had a lot of of photographers hate them.
I don't have a problem with it. I feel that anyone that's got a problem with them, it just shows their insecurity.
Yeah.
You're doing a different job.
But the argument I've had, which I think is a legit argument, is your photographer sets up the pictures, makes them perfect light, and taking the pictures, they're going to deliver that back to the couple in 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, whatever. The content creators over their shoulder going, bomb, 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 same picture, going to shout to the couple tomorrow.
Here's my
so by the time
counter
you
argument.
get the pictures to them, it's like they've seen it already.
Here's my counter argument. I've been paid.
Well, yeah, there's that for sure.
I've been paid,
but you still want to have that wow
not
moment
say,
when you give the couple the pictures and go, "This is your day."
Yeah, but the content creator isn't going to give 1,000 plus.
No, true.
Right, and they just got to understand. You've paid for this service. Content creation is a completely different service. It's everything 9:16. Vertical with music over the top. It's so they can show their mates.
Yeah,
they can put it on
social media because it's what it's all about these days. Putting it on social media, your wedding gets shown on social media, but at the end of the day, they still have an album, traditional album.
I love them.
And as they get older, their video. The other thing, my big bugbear is mainly America pay thousands of pounds to have an 8-minute video of their wedding day. Which isn't their wedding day. It's a movie trailer.
Yeah,
and one day when they get old, they're going to look at this and go, this doesn't represent my wedding day.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah. If Hollywood did my wedding, this is what it looked like.
Yeah,
but it wasn't actually.
It's BS wedding.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just want to. And when I've done, we filmed our own wedding, not as such. We got someone to film it, but we edited our own wedding. And you want to use in theory, you want to use every bit of footage you can, even if it's been film banned because it was setting up at the time or something like that. You want to see every little bit. You want to see your granddad who just happened to walk past over there and say a joke to someone because he's no longer here.
Yeah.
So it doesn't bother me at all. I don't see them as a threat. They can put their phone over my shoulder if they want. A guest can come along, and if they've got a camera, they're just starting out of a camera. Come with us. I'm being paid the same amount. I'm not going to get deductions for you having exactly the same picture.
But then I do that to the content creator. Like last week, she was getting the girls, where it's they're in the PJs and then they've jumped and then they're in their dresses.
Yeah, one of them.
I got that shot, but I was over her shoulder because the bride couldn't actually jump in time with the other bridesmaids, and they found it hilarious. And just those photos of them laughing together. The content creator is actually creating the content, and I'm getting the bridesmaids laughing.
Laugh and banter.
So it's slightly, I know it's the same setup, but again, it's slightly different. So yes, content creator can give them it within the next day or two, but then I think everything slips down after the wedding. So you've got you're on a massive high after your wedding. The day after, you get content, the content that you had, you're like, this is amazing, but then it slips down. Obviously you get the blues of your after the honeymoon. We then are there to go a few weeks later.
Here you go. Because think about it. The guests have taken photos. So the content creator is a better quality photo of what the guest has already sent them.
Yeah. I love them because very often they very kindly sort of share their footage as well.
And like us, we don't send you anything.
Perfect social stuff. I tell you actually, a lot of the stuff that I do put on socials isn't actually from me anyway. Like I say, sometimes I shoot certain things, but as a general rule, my focus, as we were saying earlier, is I want to deliver for the couple and guests. I'm not thinking too hard about what I'm going to use to promote later. But when I then get photographers send me through pictures and videos, and content creators will tag me in things or send me the footage and stuff, it's super helpful because again, it just gives future couples a chance to actually work out what I actually do and how it actually works. And one thing I religiously always tag. So I'll often say to photographers, like, if you want to give me pictures, fantastic, I'm very grateful. Anything I post, I will always tag you. Because the same thing, like, very, very occasionally, happened many times, but very occasionally I'll get a videographer come to me and be like, you was there on the day, any chance you've got any audio that we can use for the video? And I don't record myself on the day because it's more faff that you don't need. But I'll very often just ping them saying, here's a recording of me playing that particular song in the studio, a year ago or something. Use that. But I don't check, but I'd expect them then to tag me if they posted that, whatever, and not use my audio and my playing without crediting. I don't want anything for it, but I just want to be credited. Same thing with photographers. I'm not going to use your pictures without going, this is by so and so, and I'll usually mean, you know, pictures by the amazing such and such. You know, you kind of big it up a little bit.
Yeah.
But I've
it just helps everyone.
I've seen my photos on a venue. I won't mention the venue, and I'm like, they're my photos, and they haven't credited me.
Yeah, see that to me is foul play.
And I'm like, thank you very much. That's
It's
my work.
It's just disrespectful. I think it doesn't cost you anything.
No.
To just go, actually, you know,
who is this person? Who is the photographer?
Yeah,
Let's find them out. Oh, it's this person. There we go, done.
I mean, even the brochure, I've got like a wedding brochure I send to all my couples that inquire for dates that I'm available for, and it just lists all different things I can do and price and stuff like that, the information. But even then, obviously, there's pictures throughout the brochure, as you would do. The last page, photo credits.
Yeah, that's cool.
Picture on page 1 by so and so. Picture on page 3 by so and so. Front cover by so and so. I think it's just respectful. I don't think for a second, realistically, anyone's gonna book a photographer because they found them in my brochure. It could happen. I hope it does. But it's just respect.
Yeah. I can't even remember what the question was, but he must have answered.
But what's the last one? What's the most awkward moment you've ever had in public? Oh, good grief. I don't know.
I mean, apart from this podcast.
It's not in public.
Probably getting this question, to be fair. I genuinely don't know. I'm not really.
You can have a backup question.
I'm not like an awkward moment kind of person. I'm not like a massive faux pas kind of person.
He does it all the time. Every day, I would say.
I think it's the performer side. I think I'm relatively good as a general rule to think before you speak. It's just like the performer kind of thing.
Where's that in you then?
I don't know. My filter's fairly strong, I think.
So you two
I mean, in my head, it's like absolute carnage. But what comes out is usually reasonably well regulated.
He's been up to someone in the supermarket before, hugged her and gone, "Hello, lovely." And she went, "I'm not who you think I am." He then said to her, "Yes, you are." And she's like, "No, I'm really not. I know who I am." And he's like,
I'm trying to correct her to say she's actually someone else. There's a spitting image of some auntie, someone you call auntie, it isn't an auntie.
Yeah.
It wasn't her.
Saying to her, "Yes, you
Yes,
are."
you are.
I think,
Thinking that her memory's
that burst
gone.
of it again. I think you'll find actually it says.
I do have to walk off sometimes. Like, I can't deal with this right now.
Brilliant.
You're so used to it now, though, aren't you? I just make a complete fool of myself.
Wow.
No, I'm just sitting there like.
If I could have dinner with one person, living or dead, who would it be? Oh wow.
Mr. Kipling.
Who would yours be?
I don't know. My kids.
That's like an everyday occurrence.
It's beautiful though. I'm going to take the assumption it's like someone I haven't had dinner with before. I'm going to take that as
My
an
kids.
assumption. I don't know. I mean, it's got to be one of the great sax players, because like, why would you pass up that opportunity as a sax player if you could? Do you know what I mean? It's got to be one of the greats. Someone like a Michael Brecker or a Coltrane, or I don't know. There's too many. That's the problem. That's why I'm struggling.
There is. I'm reading off loads. Are you?
Who do I think?
What's your favourite sax player?
Miles Davis, I think I'd love to sit down with. I think he was fantastic jazz trumpet player for anyone watching that doesn't know. But I think he is an interesting character as well, because he was very much at the forefront of sort of the development of jazz and sort of how it became what it is now. But I think there's quite a lot of kind of race relations, I think, in his career as well, because obviously, you know, that sort of time in American history particularly, obviously, there's quite a lot of tension, and the history of jazz is full of sort of references to race relations and stuff like that. It's essentially a black art form, you know, for want of a better way of putting it. That's basically what it is. And obviously where that's then being played by white musicians and kind of incorporated into other mainstream musical styles and that sort of stuff. But I think Miles Davis is one that he had quite a strained relationship with some of the sort of media and public and fan base and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know whether it's true or not, but legend has it that he was once beaten up outside one of his gigs by police officers because they couldn't work out a legitimate reason why a black man would have such a nice suit.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? And that's I think that would be just like a fascinating conversation to have, not just about music, because he was a massive pioneer of music, but just kind of what he was up against and how he kind of
been in their shoes.
Work. And I think later in his career, he was criticised quite often for almost ostracising, if that's the right word, some of his white fan base. But you kind of think, well, when someone's been treated like that for much of their life, like, can you really blame them? And there's lots of like later videos where he's almost like playing with his back to the audience, like he's not of that interest in the audience. All he's doing is playing the music. He loves playing with the band. He loves playing with. And it's almost like, if you want to come and watch them, that's on you. You know, and I'm not sure that is necessarily his attitude, but it kind of comes across a little that way. And he was kind of criticised quite a lot for that. But then you look at it and go, well, if that's where you've come from, if that's how you've been treated, well, what do you expect? You know, I think that would be a really. So I think from
every action
the vibe of the every action we were laughing just now, weren't we? But
but every action we take in life is based on our experiences. So
I think that would be a really.
There's a reason for everything.
There's a reason to talk to. Yeah, I mean, one of my idols, just referencing very briefly, was subject. One of my idols is a guy called Benny Goodman, who's a jazz clarinetist, run a big band, and very famously, back when he was touring around the US, there were times when he had to pretend that the black musicians in the band were basically the bad boys, just to get them into the same hotel as the white musicians were staying in. And you think that's. Like, luckily, you know, quite rightly, that's a million miles away from our experience now. Like, you can't imagine a world like that, but that's not that long ago.
No.
And you think that's mental. Like, can you imagine being in that position? Like, that's. So yeah, I think that'd be a really interesting conversation to have, because you've got the musical side and that side as well.
Yeah.
Excellent.
We've got one more question.
Go on in.
In our Cherrywood podcast, we have a Cherrywood podcast playlist on Spotify. What song would you add to that playlist? You can have any song you want.
I think it's got to be Jubal, hasn't it? Seeing as you guys don't know what it is, I'm sure you'll recognise it as soon
we
as
do know. You need to
it.
hum a little bit of it for us.
But it's not legally.
That's the thing. If I start playing on my phone tank, it'll get blocked, won't it?
See?
It's one that quite often brides will describe me as the Save Me song. I don't know if that kind of triggers any. I'm not going to start singing
I'm going to have to Google it.
You'll be a bit flagged just for horrible.
Just trying to get him to hum, if I'm honest. But brilliant. Thank you. Nice to finally chat with you.
Yes, absolutely.
Really enjoyed it.
And please tell everyone where they can find you.
Absolutely, I will do. Fantastic.
Go on in.
It's been. Sorry. I thought you meant plug the podcast.
No. We're plugging you.
I beg your pardon.
We're going to have your name there anyway.
Fantastic, quite right too.
Or just have a picture of a sax. Dave.
I'll do my drawing of the sax up there.
I think you definitely should do. To be fair, if I actually call it sax as a win, like if I got a quid for every time I got, mate, you're well good at trumpet. Like, I would be absolutely minted. I don't even argue now. I'd say thank you. I don't even argue.
You're welcome.
It's just easier.
I got a T-shirt from someone recently, and it said, "Don't worry, the bass player's here." Right? It says it on the T-shirt. A gift, a very kind gift. It's got a bleeding guitar. Picture of a guitar next to it. And I'm like, I just cannot wear this.
That's brilliant.
Imagine if I go out gigging and it's got "Don't worry, the bass player's here," and it's got a picture of a guitar on it.
But is it being ironic? Do you think the T-shirt...
No, it's not.
No, right, okay.
It's not. It's just been printed by someone that don't know the difference.
Did you ever see, it was years and years and years ago, it was like a very brief fad of guys wearing a pink T-shirt with the words, "Only real men can wear pink." Did you ever see that?
Yeah.
I really badly wanted a blue one. Just like, only real men can wear pink in a blue T-shirt. I thought that would have been hilarious. I even actually, like, at one point, actually looked into what it would cost to get one made.
Only men can wear pink. Only real men can wear pink.
But yeah. Black. Anyways, you can find me on all the social medias as Dave Brazier Sax. I'm also online with kentweddingsaxophonist.co.uk. See, I was early enough on the sax game that I was able to get the branding of Kent Wedding Saxophonist, which has stood me in very good stead, I'm not going to lie. So yeah, kentweddingsaxophonist.co.uk or Dave Brazier Sax, all over socials, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, yada, yada, yada.
See, that's his name.
Perfect.
Well, I just aged myself by saying Twitter. So
it's X now, isn't it?
And TikTok and all that. And yeah,
Brilliant. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been an absolute joy. I've really enjoyed it.
Like I said, it's nice to actually chat to you rather than just sort of give you a see ya, and you say bye with your eyebrows. You know,
you can't talk enough. It's rude.
No,
don't really.
Anyway, thanks everyone.
Nice.
I don't know if you noticed, everyone, but we've got a couple of Cherrywood conspiracy files that we got now. A couple of stocking fillers for when Rachel and I are too busy filming. So. Yeah, they're quite good.
Fantastic.
What can I say? Everyone likes a conspiracy story, so we just have a couple of AI things going on in between these podcasts. But thanks for watching and see you soon.
Cool stuff. Thank you.
Bye.
Club Awesome, for autistic children and their families, a place where everyone belongs and fun knows no age limit.
Today's sponsors are...
Need stunning video or photography for your big day or even your business? Cherrywood Production delivers award-winning results with a personal touch. From weddings to promotional content, we turn your vision into reality. Visit cherrywoodpro.com today. Your memories, our passion. Put your business in front of 30,000 new customers with the Hindsight Directory. This A5 full-colour magazine is delivered by Royal Mail to Maidstone, Gravesend, Medway and Bromley, with more areas to come. Visit hindsightdirectory.co.uk.
New Digital, helping businesses build their online presence with web design, SEO, Google Ads and social media. Get 10% off when you quote Cherrywood today. Visit their website at nudigitalera.co.uk.
This podcast has been brought to you by Snugdubs Campervan Hire.
Roam the world, park anywhere.
That's snugdubs.co.uk.